Hey guys, this is Emily Taylor, ring announcer from Houston, Texas, and you're watching the CCP Podcast.
What is happening, friends of CCP Podcasting? Welcome back to Beyond the Bell. I am Chris Page. That is John Cable, and we have got a good one today, my man. This is this adventure that we've taken is only getting deeper and deeper and deeper down the professional wrestling rabbit hole, and I'm here for it. John, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing great. I'm super excited about today. You know, it's been a really interesting ride on this new journey we find ourselves on, and every time I get on my computer now, you seem to have something else going on for us. So it's like every day is like Christmas for me. Every time I wake up, there's a new text message or a new DM or a new something, and today is no different. I got a DM earlier today. I was like, hey, we got a show later. You should do it with me. And I'm like, I'm there. Where are we at?
Yeah, this one, huge shout out to Eric Steele, who joins me on Saturday mornings for Inside the Indies over on Twitch. Eric set this up for us, and he would be here, but it just seems to be a thing with Mr. Steele that every time we set something up, he's got to bail on me. He did it with the Beast Man. He's done it with my guest today. I'm almost wondering if Eric really wants to get in here and talk to these guys. Maybe there's some.
I think he just wants to set you up on blind dates, homie. I think that's what it is.
I mean, if it's with professional wrestling, I'm here for it. I mean, we're wrestling around
here we are.
in oil and underwear, so I think it's a good thing. Today's show, we're going to dive into it, man. We've got somebody, let's just call it what it is. He's with the NWA. 9 times over with different tag team championships, 4 times world's tag team champions with the NWA as a part of the Heat Seekers, but he also has a tremendous career in his own right, and we're going to talk to him and pick his brain about all kinds of projects that he's got coming up. He's got a training camp coming up here in a couple of weeks. This is going to be a good one. Ladies and gentlemen of CCP Podcasting, friends, welcome Matt Sigmon, of the Heat Seekers. What's going on, Mr. Sigmon? How are you, bud?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me. You know, it's a pleasure to be here. I know Eric, like you said, has bailed on you yet again after having Beastmaster or Beast yet, man. I'm telling you. And then he stands us up. Here we are on the blind date with no chaperone. What are we doing,
bro? Listen, at least he no-showed the Beastman's wedding. I found that out on our interview with the Beastman, that he no-showed Beastman's wedding. And then he drops off.
That's terrible. I mean, what a friend. What a friend. And Beastman's such a good guy, too. Crazy fellow, but such a good guy. Why would you stand him up on his wedding? That's horrible.
It's Eric, and I love him anyway. He's a good dude. He's been working with me on this project of ours for probably 6 or 7 months, and he's tremendous. I'm glad that he managed to hook us up. You've got a lengthy career as far as being in the industry, and it's well. Let me say this: the spotlight video that we've done on Matt Sigmon is already out. So if you, talking to you, are watching this right now, you need to stop. You need to go back and watch the spotlight video, and then come back to this and finish this out, because I want you to see the man inside the ring. Because John, I don't know if you watched all of the spotlight. Matt's a hell of a technician when it comes to being inside that ring, and you're a big transition guy. So you're gonna love this and this whole piece. But before we get started, let's get the bullshit softball questions out of the way so that we can get into our organic flow. When did you fall in love with professional wrestling, and what kind of steered you towards making it a career, which is you've been really well thus far?
That's a tough one. You know, I grew up watching superhero cartoons, man, Batman, Power Rangers, you name it, stuff like that, right? And my parents at the time were going through a pretty nasty divorce, and so I threw myself into video games, superhero stuff, and then I found wrestling, right? And I was watching it over at my friend's house. He had NWA on back in the day, and on Saturday night, and I was immediately hooked. I thought, man, this is superheroes in real life, telling stories, and we got good guy versus bad guy, and it's true competition looking. I was never a WWF guy at the time. I was always watching like the Mid Atlantic area kind of stuff, and then around my area, we had Smoky Mountain Wrestling as I got a little bit older, and so I was always more on the true wrestling aspect of it. That's what got me hooked, and I was hooked on Sting and guys like that with a lot of charisma, but at the same time I really liked the undercard stuff, so I was a big fan of Midnight Express growing up, Rock and Roll Express, the Armstrongs.
You're
best
just
blind
butter
date
and his
ever.
bread
Best
this whole
blind date
run.
ever.
Yeah.
You just called my favorite tag team.
As I got older, it became like Regal, Malenko, Benoit, guys like that. So, and I was
buttering me up. This is great. I love this so far already. This is
so. When I guess I was in high school. I couldn't find anything I really wanted to do in life outside of video production or something along those lines on the serious side. But I called up to Killer Kowalski's Chaotic Wrestling time. He was kind of fading out of it, but he was still in it, and I'd seen it on one of the documentaries that were pretty hot at the time, 2003 or 4. And I said, "Hey, I'm a high school kid. I think I was 17 years old at the time. I was like, could I come up for a week and train?" I fully expected a no, and they said yes. And so I flew up there at 17 years old and was able to stay for a week, get beat up worse than I've ever been beat up in my entire life. But they threw me in with what's he now? Ivar off WWE and Tommaso Ciampa for a week, right? And I was learning from them. And after a week, I came back home, and I was bruised from head to toe. Felt terrible because it's the first time in a ring. Ropes are killing you, bumps are hurting, right? And but I loved it, and I wanted more. And at the same time, Tom Pritchard had been let go from WWE for this is his 2003 or 4 release, right? Mm-hmm. And he opened up a little training school in Tennessee, and I found out about it, and I plugged in immediately with a guy named Devin Driscoll, who he ended up doing some OVW work and some developmental stuff. But so we spent a good 6 months with Tom, just in this terrible small 2-car garage sized building every day, and then learning, trying to pick up the craft and improve my game. And then, as luck would have it, I met Rock and Roll Express and Tracy Smothers and Bobby Eaton. So then I started making towns with all 4 of those guys in various ways, shapes, or forms for 3 years. And at the time, it was really cool because not only were we training, but at the same time, this was back in 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8, when there was independent shows 6 days a week, right? We were working Tuesday through Sunday, and I was still at the same time juggling college and relationships and all that stuff. But after college each day, I would get in the car and drive to whatever towns that would be for the week. And we would start Tennessee local shows on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday, we might have Nashville TV. Saturday, we'd be in Kentucky or the Carolinas. And every Sunday, we were in Warner Robins, Georgia. And I did that for years. And so that was one thing that I think helped me more than anything, was traveling with my heroes, right? But also some of the best the businesses had to offer in terms of the mindset and just the repetitions I was able to get in compared to what got.
Say that the match counts for that on a calendar year have got to be insane.
I hit 1,000 within a couple of years, and it was nuts. But it's the repetitions, being in front of a live crowd every night, rather than and nothing against the guys today. And guys are more protective of their bodies and necks and brain and all that, and that's wonderful. but we were able to learn really good, really fast. And it's something a lot of guys don't have the opportunity to do now in terms of exposure.
I think that mentality on the business kind of ended like late 2000.
It did.
2010. It's really changed.
So and that's, debatable for the better, for the worse. But guys now, you got maybe
there's always that balanced trade-off. Do you put in the ring time or do you put in the gym time? And you can't have both all the time. But if you focus on one, you'll look real good. If you focus on the other, you'll do real good. So it's
6 days a week, guys now, 4 shows a month, and they're still working hard, still putting out good matches. But it's just a different ball game these days. So that was my early, life. It was making all these towns with these guys, learning night in, night out, and greenhorn me, just thinking I know what's right to do, and constantly getting told no and getting yelled at, and didn't understand it at the time. But eventually, I learned to shut up and listen, and so happy that I did that. And then over the years, I developed some good friendships with like Les Thatcher, and would go do his camps, and then would go do like the Harley race seminars that he would run in Eldon, Missouri. And those just opened so many doors and connections, and just really set me on a pace to do pretty good. And here we are 20 years later, still going, and I've been very blessed on this crazy roller coaster of a business, getting to do things and go places that I had no business doing. So.
I had to have missed you with the rock and roll by 2 years. I was working. I had a 2-week stint with Ricky and Robert in Alabama, and it was the best 2 weeks of my entire life. We had Sherry as our manager, and I was teaming with Buddy Landell.
Dude, so one of the highlights of my whole life, right, has been, and we'll get to more me tagging with Elliot later, but over the last 20 years, me and Elliot have had the chance to work rock and roll more than any other tag team in the last 20 years, right? We've night and day, we've done it 200 something times, right? And the one scenario I've always wanted was Sensational Sherry in our corner, because I think the heat we could have been able to achieve with that woman would have been magnificent. I mean, we've been very blessed. We've had Cornette in our corner with rock and roll. We've had Jimmy Hart. We've done a lot of cool, fun scenarios from like playing it out from when I was a kid to now. But
not the same as having Sherry in your corner.
Dude, she could get heat. She's top 5 managers in my opinion, just because of what she was willing to do to get angles over and just to get heat.
She's such a sweetheart. Was such a sweetheart. I mean, I
got to meet her once or twice, but we never, got to work together really. So.
I mean, I tell John knows. He's heard the story like 6,000 times. The kindest person in the world, and we and I say we, Sherry and I, in Northport, Alabama, at the West Alabama Fairgrounds, almost caused a riot with the match for the Rock and Roll Express. It was all her. It was all her. She was so...
Well, you put that for a second.
You put the combination together, right? You got rock and roll, you got Ricky Sell, you got Sensational Sherry, and that's about all you need. You just need to sit there and put heat on Ricky.
Let it boil over, yep.
Yeah, let it boil over. It's over.
It's good stuff, man. And I hear you talk about the Midnights. I obviously, I grew up in Alabama, so NWA was where I was at. So I was definitely, I watched the WWF. Don't get me wrong, in the '80s, Hogan and all that jazz. But my passion was the NWA, and rock and roll and the Midnights are obviously one of my favorite feuds. Midnights are one of my favorite tag teams. And I was going to ask you later on if this was a thing, because again, watching a lot of your stuff over the last couple of weeks, I picked up nuances from the Midnights, and I picked up some nuances from, even a little bit of, I see a little bit of Arn and Tully with you and Elliot to a degree. I see a lot of old school tag wrestling that is being worked in a modern way, right? but it's still so good and it's so throwback. And I'm curious, was that a thing that you guys set out to do as a team? Like, we're gonna kind of throw back to these old school classic tag team wrestling.
It wasn't necessarily like we didn't say, you know what we need to do. We need to be like Midnight, right? It was just already here. It was just the mentality of how we treat the business, right? Because especially Bobby. Bobby was somebody who I became really, really close with over 15 years, right? And so a lot of the way he would go about things really got ingrained in how, both in and out of the ring, right? Just the how he would handle business backstage, how he would handle things in the ring.
Great mind for it.
Just a wonderful mind, and just a wonderful person too. And so I love that man, and he was really, really good to me over the years and opened a lot of doors for me personally. And losing him was tough, but somebody that I constantly still just model a lot of what I do throughout the ring. And there's a lot of little mannerisms too that not many people do, that Bobby used to do, that I try to still throw in matches that nobody sees or gets anymore, but that's okay.
Hey, listen, those that do appreciate it even that much more. I'm just going to keep it real. Like, there's, you can say what you want. Bobby Eaton was one of the guys that I really, really wanted to meet, and I really wanted to work with, and I never had the opportunity to. It just never happened. I've heard so many great stories. Again, talking to Eric, and I hear his stories of traveling with Bobby, and I just think that anyone who had the opportunity to get to know that man is probably a better man for it, and that's just going off of the stories I heard. And I've been.
I've not met anybody who Bobby was involved with in life, right, that didn't grow better as a person. And with that, a few years ago I put together the Bobby Eaton event. We did an event. We didn't smarten Bobby up to it, right? Because at the time, he didn't know what social media was nothing. He just sat and watched wrestling and baseball and stuff on TV. And so I put together this event, and we called it Don't Tell Bobby. And the amount of love and outpour of support for this that we got was just amazing. And he was legitimately floored. You can go watch it over on Fight TV. He was floored with just how much respect people had for him. And he was often speechless, right? But that night, he was very speechless.
He's an unsung hero. I mean, in my opinion, of professional wrestling, it is what it is.
Absolutely.
When you got through those, I mean, and you had a tremendous learning tree to sit under while you were making those early reps. And you said something a minute ago that resonated with me, and was shut up and listen. And I struggled with that as well. And even to this day, sometimes I still struggle with it. But it's so. I think the mentality of guys today is just different because they weren't there in that era, and maybe not have the opportunity to really sit down and learn from the guys that paved the way for there to be an industry today. And I truly believe that those that have that opportunity, guys like yourself and guys like other guys we've spoken to on the podcast previously that had the opportunity to work with the vets, the real living legends. Those are the guys that have a lengthy and career, a long, successful career. And it's obviously because you're learning and you're taking into heart to what has brought us all to the dance. And that shit's beautiful to see.
Yeah, I agree. There's nothing wrong with how guys do it today. They just don't have the same opportunities that I did, or that we did in the way we were brought up. And it's not that they don't have respect for the history or the past, right? They just weren't exposed to it at all. And they're, when they're being brought into whatever school now or WWE factory making facilities, they'll still study some history, right? They'll go back and they'll watch tapes and stuff, but they don't.
It's different being there doing it with them. Yeah, it's 100% different.
There's not a level, and I'm not trying to bury them, right? But there's not a level of appreciation just because they don't understand, right, of what things were truly built on. And for them too, it's a younger group of guys, and for them it's the foundation and the history of the guys that paved the way is a little bit different for them because people are just breaking in now, and they grew up watching early TNA, stuff like that, and that's their history, that's their road pave. So different environment, and
social media too now. Like nowadays, back in the day, we didn't have YouTube. We didn't have, YouTube wasn't a thing when I was in the ring. I was started in '99, and went out with injury in 2005. So I didn't even have a long run, but I didn't have social media at my disposal, and and I think that now plays a pivotal role, kind of in the mentality of today's wrestler. And again,
it's a whole different era.
Not shitting on anybody, and not trying to say, this is bad or this is good. I'm not doing that. But what I am saying is, like, I feel like now with being able to post a 30-second clip on the internet, you don't need to go out, or someone may feel like they don't have to go out and say, hey. Like Jake Roberts, let's use him as an example because he's in AEW. Let's say he's sitting I would go up and pick his brain. Hey, let me. Nowadays, I don't think people would be doing that because, again, they can have that instant gratification by having, however many followers or however many likes or however many clicks that one clip will get. Versus, put your phone down and go talk to these different guys because you can learn so much more that way.
What kills me. It legitimately hurts my heart is I'll go to shows these days and the show bring in, veterans to specific situations, right? I showed up at a show not too long ago, I guess it's about a year, and Ted DiBiase was there, and he's over just sitting at his table getting ready for the doors to open in an hour or so. 20 guys on the other side of the building just sitting there looking at their phones. Not one person trying to go over and just get any bit of knowledge from Ted on anything. And it legitimately, I stood there dumbfounded. And then I walked over and tried to pick Ted's brain a little bit because that's just, I flocked to that kind of situation,
Dude, we had Hector Guerrero at a show, and we spent the entire day in the locker room just talking to Hector. Everybody in the roster was just sitting around Hector. He was singing songs, playing his uke, telling stories, just having a good time. I wouldn't have missed that for the world, dude.
Yeah, and there are situations too when maybe the guys had a rough day traveling or something. Maybe they don't want to. They want to be alone.
That was the joy at the end of the day, man. Like that was the party time right there.
It's situations where it's like, man, do you understand the opportunity you have just to learn for 10 minutes if you go sit down and just pick the guy's brain on anything? And I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen with Lex Luger. I've seen it happen with Nikita. I've seen it happen with Les Thatcher. And they'll just let great minds of the business, right, just sit alone and waste time looking at Instagram or swiping on Tinder or whatever, and not improving.
You think that they just don't know?
Maybe. But then again,
there's a stigma that's a legend. He doesn't want me to waste his time.
John, there's no excuse for not.
I mean, I'm not saying that there is. I'm just playing devil's advocate. Is it a mentality in the locker room in the newer generation that they shouldn't go waste that guy's time?
We also live, and I feel like the old man yelling at the cloud, right? But we live in this time where people don't. They're intimidated, but they're also programmed to just stay looking at their phone. They aren't comfortable going up to somebody and making eye contact, introducing themselves, and then asking questions, right? It's too much pressure on them to go make that contact and interaction, and that's a problem. Not just in wrestling, man. That's life these days. People they want to stay in their bubble and look at the phone. And they don't want that human one-on-one interaction. or they're scared of it, right? I think deep down they want that human one-on-one interaction, but they're scared of it. So
I guess I'm weird because I do that.
Right,
everywhere.
it's like this. Let me put it to you like this. When I was growing up,
we're old.
I was out in the woods barefooted.
Yeah, all right.
And now, as a kid, I was out in the woods barefoot. Now I look at a kid, they've got a damn phone in their hand or some kind of Twitch or some kind of object that I don't know the first thing about, but apparently they do. And I think that's a big piece. It is a big piece of the problem with not just wrestling, it's just society in general. Like we're literally, guys, we're falling back, and I don't know. I think modern technology sucks. That's just a me thing. Let's pivot. Let's get back into wrestling. Let's get back into why we're here.
Let's go.
The NWA. Like before we get to the NWA, you got your early reps with the Midnight, and you got your early reps with everybody that I just think is fucking phenomenal. When do you and Elliot come together? When does that pairing of the Heat Seekers become a thing? And what's that look like? How did that happen?
So Elliot, I'm doing like.
Was it Elliot or Shane first?
So I tagged with Sean Schultz, and then I tagged with a guy named Shane Andrews, who's East Tennessee area guy. Both of them, hell of workers. And so we did the Heat Seekers thing on and off for a while, like mid 2000s and whatnot. And then I started tagging with David Young for about 3 years until he just got to the point where his back and knees and stuff were hurting, so he filtered out for a while. So I started doing singles work, and I was doing a lot down in the Gulf Coast area. I was doing a lot in Louisiana and Arkansas and Oklahoma and whatnot. And Elliot was starting to train, learn. He started with me, then I sent him to Tom Pritchard to get cleaned up better. But we started making towns together, and we were wrestling each other every night. And when he was with me constantly, I was like, man, why don't we just try to run the tag? Because I'm a tag team guy. I love tag team wrestling. There's nothing better in wrestling, in my opinion, than
that was going to be one of my questions for you, because I know that you've had several singles titles too.
Yeah,
lots of NWA tag titles. What do you find is the biggest difference for you between singles and tag wrestling? Because both of us are giant tag fans.
Right.
But there's something about a singles career, especially someone who's made a name for himself like you has as a tag champ, to go into a ring on your own. What do you think is the difference there, and why do you think you prefer tagging over singles?
I mean, it's all wrestling at the end of the day, right? We're just trying to be psychological and tell good stories. But just for me, and growing up as a kid, and just what the reactions that we're able to get storytelling from tag team wrestling, there's nothing that feels quite like it to me, right? So that said, like Elliot, and we were traveling, and so I said, why don't we try to do the tag thing? And he agreed, and we started. And then we just never stopped, man. We've been going 10 years or so, I think, maybe 11 at this point, and it's just been go, and not much on the singles side. Few one-offs here and there, just for story reasons, but we've never split it. We've never feuded with each other. We've never broke that, and I don't ever honestly intend to. So. It's paid off well for us, you know. We've literally been able to travel the world. We've been very blessed with what we've been able to make happen with it, and I'm fortunate, with what we've been able to accomplish just from the tag team side of things. Because a lot of guys, when you first start tagging, you face that opposition from promoters. Hey, you guys aren't an established tag team. Why would I invest this additional money on a match when I can have you guys work in singles matches and save money? And then that's always an obstacle. And so
I was absolutely going to ask you about how that came together and how you guys ended up started getting booking as tags if you weren't doing that already. That's an interesting concept that I'd definitely like to hear about.
I had built up respect to a certain level at different places that I had worked and put a lot of time in over the years. And it just got to the point where I told pretty much every promoter, hey, this is what I'm doing now. I think we can tell good stories. I think we can draw money. by getting some heat, and let me run with this for just a little bit to show you what we can do here. And if it works, great. And if it don't, we'll go somewhere else. And that started, opening us with NWA, with AML Wrestling, with Innovate Wrestling, with everywhere we were going. They started letting us run with it, and it clicked. It worked. And
when do you think that was? What was the match or the moment where you guys were like, no, this is definitely it. This is the thing we should be doing?
I don't know if there was a point, because right as soon as we started doing the tag, we're starting to do matches with rock and roll again, and that kind of clicked, because it got to the point. Here's another thing that helped too. Ricky and Robert always felt safe with me and Elliot, and they would tell promoters, "Hey, we'll
work this match." That's a great word of mouth.
We feel safe with these guys. We'll work hard, and that changes a match from right here to
it's
right
a whole
here.
Different caliber,
right? Because and I take great pride in this. Ricky is not afraid to do a hurricane run on me, right? And that increases our value. Or did at the time, right? And so that helped establish us. And the other thing that helped too was the heat we were able to get, because guys like Ricky and Robert were willing to come in, do business for us, and make us get heat and look good, and tell the stories to establish what we needed to make happen. And I'm very grateful and thankful for all of that too.
You talk about the Rana. I got one. I got one from him. Just one.
My favorite thing one night was we were in North Carolina. They were doing, I think it was Still in the Shine, and Ricky popped Elliot, told him to powder. I'm feeding. He called the Rana. He told me to powder. So I did. I powdered Elliot, and I see Robert walk over and just sit on the ropes and hold him up. I thought, no.
Yep.
And sure enough, Ricky runs and hits the ropes, come back, suicide dive. It didn't even call the damn thing. And I was like, well, I can quit now.
and it probably popped the crowd. The place probably went bananas.
Dude, Nikita Koloff came off his table. Just, what the hell?
Man. Oh shit! There's so much. I could talk old school wrestling with you all day. I'm literally could, and the people that influenced and everything. Because you say you and Elliot have been hooked up now for 10 years, and it just I know that there's a lot that you've done in that decade.
And that's that outside of the matches, right? It's rare these days because guys get thrown together on cards. Guys get beef between each other in real life for whatever reason. They split off, and we've never had that point of contention to where we didn't like traveling with each other. We didn't like the matches we were putting together. We did, we've never had a problem.
That's rare anyway, because people that I love, I can't travel with.
Yeah.
I don't.
So we've always clicked well in that regard, just because I think we respect each other that much, and it's made it a lot easier than it is to travel with some other people and that kind of thing too. So
first, it's very respectable and commendable that you and Elliot have developed that bond together as two individuals that merged into this incredible tag team. Because you're right, you're 100% correct, John. You said that is rare. The only modern team that I can think of right now of notoriety off the top of my head that have stuck together outside of the Usos is FTR. They too strike me as a team that Dax and Cash, they're not going to do anything else. They'll do some single stuff here and there, but being that team, being that unit, and selling yourself as that, ultimately it's the business.
Those are two guys that also respect, in the same way we do, respect the history of the business, the guys who paved the way, especially tag team wrestling, and will go above and beyond to show that respect to guys that are still around, like Rock and Roller, Dennis Condrey, and make even Heart Foundation, and really care about it, and they've really pushed it in a way that I always look up to. Those guys are, and outside the ring too, they're just great people. So
when you guys start traveling, just a random question I was thinking about, because when I think of being connected to somebody for 10 years and you've traveled the world, where are some of the places that you didn't think that you were ever going to be able to go to that just magically fell in your lap and poof, you're here?
China.
Yeah.
I never thought we would wrestle in China, and sometimes stars align and it just happens, man. And what an experience that was. Just because it's like you're in this country where there's hostility towards Americans to a certain extent, and at the time there was too, and you don't really want to upset anybody. You're trying to be on best behavior. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Just whatever you could.
Sure.
But that was a really surreal experience because there was not. This was 2016, I don't remember what year. But at the time, there was not much, if any, wrestling on television broadcast over there. There was no real live wrestling within. I mean, maybe a few one-offs in like Hong Kong or something, but when you're talking about actually mainland China, there was not any wrestling events, right? So going over there and being able to interact and put on events for people who are watching it legitimately for the first time, that was cool. And
how did that opportunity even come about?
There's a promoter that we work for out of the Carolinas. His name's Ricky Nelson. He used to do jobs at WCW, but he's also lined up tours over the last, 25, 30 years with like military bases and things like that. And him and his partners at the time just had a cool opportunity pop up to do a loop in China, and we all hopped on the opportunity, man. That was one of those.
Yeah, when somebody makes that phone call, you're like, wait, where?
Yeah. Because I love that. That's the cool part about this business too. Is not only the matches you get to have, whatever, but just the places you get to go, people you get to meet, and sites to see, that kind of thing. That's one of those I didn't want to pass up because I'm never going back to China again, barring some magical tour that pops up, but. Once in a lifetime kind of thing. So that was always a highlight for me.
John, go ahead.
So being a tag team guy, because we're both absolutely enamored with tag team wrestling. I think it's, one of the things that we've always vouched is that if the tag team scene is healthy in a company, then the company is a healthy company.
Right.
With the generational disconnect that we all see kind of in the industry, we've mentioned it before, where the newer guys coming up don't have that opportunity to sit under the learning tree of the legends like we all did. What do you see as the future of tag team wrestling? Like, how do you think we can keep that part of the industry alive and thriving?
That's a good question. There are teams now that are doing a little bit different of a way of approaching things than we do, right? But there's always going to be a love for tag team wrestling just because it is a special attraction. It's different. In terms of keeping it alive in the foundational ways that I love and that I grew up on. Everywhere we go, we try to ingrain that in everybody we work with and the young guys in the locker room, and try to push that and teach that. Oftentimes, when we're brought into a place, we'll be wrestling younger guys that are breaking in. They want to go about things the way they see today, and that's okay too. We will bring our work rate. Or I don't want to say work rate, but we'll bring our style up to meet them just a little bit, and we'll level them off to where we're comfortable from a psychology standpoint. And then oftentimes they walk out of that match going, man, the reaction that we got was something we've never had before. So then they grow to appreciate it. But then there are guys, like FTR, I think that are helping keep that going. Young Bucks to a degree. They wouldn't be doing the match a while back, Sting's retirement, if Sting didn't have that respect for him and believe that they were able to show that respect for who paved the way and that kind of thing. So I think it's just something where we got to just keep pushing it and do our best to keep it alive. And you know what? If it doesn't stay alive, if it changes and evolves after I'm gone, then that's okay too. Because what we do, what rock and roll did, and Midnights and Road Warriors and everything, it was an evolution and step up compared to what the Fullers did and the Funks, and it's at the end of the day, it's all wrestling. There is a psychology standpoint to where you will get the best reactions from general audience and the most emotional investment, and I think that's that factor. There's going to be niche audiences, right, where they want to see the car crash, the 60-mile-an-hour matches consistently, right? But if you are aiming for a general audience with storytelling, there's a formula that's always going to work. And even if we don't teach it right now, they'll figure it out again to how to get back to that point, because it's just psychology and natural. So.
Well, I think one of the things about tag team wrestling that really people get attracted to is it's not just the work effort or the victory of their hero. It's the camaraderie between the two guys. It's the brotherhood. It's the collaborative effort. And I think that's the thing that draws people that like tag team wrestling. I think deep down, that's the core of what we really value in it. And and tag team wrestling has always had its ebbs and flows in the industry. And we've seen really big times for tag teams. We've seen really small times for tag teams. And it really depends on the market and the teams that are in it. But I think that's the key, is the camaraderie among the tag teams and the people that are working together that really bring those fans in. I think that's, like you said, you get this different reaction from crowds for tag team venues than you do for singles work. And I think that's really part of the core of it.
There's so many stories that you can tell, depending on it might be two teams against each other, or it could be a situation of, hey, we've got a story between these two baby faces. Maybe they've been butting heads a little bit. They're going up against the established heel team tonight. You can start playing with that story between the two baby faces, maybe not being on the same page about something. There's so many little things that you can modify.
Relatable too. It's all relatable.
Yeah, and I don't know, man. When you're a crowd, you're in a crowd, you're a kid, and you're in a tag match, and if you do it correctly, if you paint that picture of the babyface in peril, trying desperately, reaching for that tag, and it keeps getting pulled away. It keeps getting pulled away.
Hot tag for a reason.
And every time they get that much closer and it's pulled away, and that much closer and it's pulled away, you tell that story and you paint that picture that to the fan, right? That the tag is what they want to see. They want to see that hot tag. And so many guys do it terribly. But when it's done right, when that hot tag is truly a hot tag, man.
Ain't no feeling like it in the world.
Yeah.
Ain't no feeling like it in the world, man. I hear you, man. Let me ask you this. The NWA, for, up until the last several years, since Billy Corgan's taken it over, it was kind of not really talked about, not really discussed much. Right. And one thing that I appreciate a lot about the history and the lineage about the NWA. One thing that I really appreciate about the NWA and kind of AEW and TNA to a degree is when they contract you guys out and give you a set number of dates, they allow you to go out and work outside of that as long as it doesn't interfere and there's no conflict of interest, et cetera, et cetera. You're able to still go out and make your own shots if you choose to, and make your own money outside of your contract, whatever that looks like. With the resurgence of the NWA, because I really felt like it was getting to a point to where it was about to pop. like in a really good way. And then there was an incident, and I'm not going to discuss the incident. Those incidents kind of drug it back down, but now you guys are on the resurgence again. What has it been like for you and for Elliot to be a part of this process since, pretty much the inception of Corrigan, with the prominence of it coming back up? What does that look like, and what does that feel like to you guys in the locker room? Because the momentum's there. And it's been building and building and building, and this is the opportunity for you guys to take, plant your fucking flag in the ground and say, here we are. Mm. What's that look like to you guys, and how's that looking?
Me and Elliot have that unique perspective. Tim Storm's one of them too, who we were part of that last little wave that was as good as bad, whatever, but it's still NWA. And when we were doing angles and whatnot for the tag team titles, one of our main goals was to really try to bring or make those as respectable as what we could accomplish with it, right? But now that Corrigan has taken this thing and really put some steam behind it. The crew truly cares across the board about what that they're putting out and delivering content-wise, right? And I've never seen a crew work so hard as a unit to really try to push something to the next level, right? And just from a locker room perspective, it's very cool to see these guys come together and respect history of it, but also respect each other enough to work as a team to really try to build something. And I think the trajectory they're going on, and it's any company, man, in wrestling, outside of wrestling, it's going to go up, and then you might have a hurdle here and there, but you just got to figure out what's working, what's not, and you adapt and you keep pushing forward. And they've been doing an excellent job of that, especially with, they've got a lot of good exposure right now with what Billy's been able to accomplish with CW and the tours. They're making a lot of towns. I don't know if you saw what they were able to do in Alabama, but the crowd was packed. They rocked the place that night, and so I think over time it's going to continue to go up, and that's what I want to see, because WWE's great, Impact's awesome, AEW and what they're doing with themselves and Ring of Honor, that's cool, and I want NWA to be there too, because the stronger every company is, right, the better off I am, the more options that me and Elliot have, the better off our business as a whole is. And I've got friends in every single company, and this is how they put food on the table and help their families. And I want to see every single MLW2 and AAA. I want to see everybody succeed. And I think there is enough engagement, there's enough people to market to that like different avenues and different things and whatever entertains them at the time, that can be a possibility. And so I think NWA is doing a great job. And we were there, I think, in Nashville a few months ago. We might come back around Crockett Cup time. It's always fun. It's always a pleasure, and they always treat us great. And I can't wait to see what 2024, the rest of this year has, and going into 2025.
I want to take you back to your first NWA World Tag Team title win, with the roots that you have to the NWA as a whole. Yeah. Knowing that there's not the same belts obviously, but the same NWA tag titles at the Rock and Roll and the Midnights, and all the lineage behind the belts. What did that look like when you got the nod and said, "Hey guys, this is your night"? How did that make you feel? Obviously, to know that now this is a deep legacy behind.
Yeah, it is, and that was one of those moments where it was like it was a milestone kind of thing, right? Where me and Elliot at the time, right, had picked up several companies' title belts, and that's awesome. But as a kid, I used to be one of the kids that would buy all the magazines and would look at the rankings and check out champions and whatever. And so the little Mark kid in my spirit was tickled, right? And and that's something I was very grateful for. There was a lot of people that didn't want us to be in that position. There was a lot of people that supported us. So I'm very thankful for guys like Bruce Tharp, who were able to help us at the time, and Matt Riviera was another guy, promoter, who really stuck his neck out for us. And yeah, I'm very thankful and grateful for what we were able to do those years ago.
John, you're up.
So when you transition more from like you're doing road work a lot to settling into a company, what was one of the hardest things for you to really settle into from doing road work? Because like we all know that the old Carnival schedule was kind of crazy when you're doing like a bunch of shows all over the place. Like you said, you got 1,000 matches in like no time. So what's the transition look like from that kind of a schedule to, oh, I've got to settle it the hell down and I've got to sit in this company and work in this corner and really carry these belts? What's the transition look like? What was one of the hardest things for you to really grasp and get under control for you not being on the road as much?
It's never been so much of a company telling me to settle and focus in on one thing, right? But the older I've got, and then the birth of my daughter, that really put me in that position to where it's like, I don't want to leave home unless I'm legitimately paying some bills with a booking and take away from my time from her growing up, man. I love being a girl dad, and that has been, there's not a booking, man, that really, that at the end of the day is worth that time away. But so I'm very selective now, and that's part of what pulled me back. We still take a healthy amount of bookings, right? But it's our bodies too. You know, we have a bump card, and guys don't like to acknowledge that, right? And some
it's
of
like
them,
a little X-ray tech. We've got our little badge, and when it changes just the right color, you're like, all right, guys, you got to tap it. It's time.
And there's some guys that are going really hard today, and they're putting on some hell of matches, and I commend them for it. But 10 years from now, that mentality changes. I remember Davey Richards, you know, we used to wrestle a lot together, and he's always been really good to me too. But there was one time after we've known each other for like 10 years, he came with Eddie to work me and Elliot. And he looked at me and goes, hey, I get it now. And I said, yeah. So it's just,
you can hear it a lot, and until you get there, you just don't know.
Yeah. So I enjoy my time at home now, and I still enjoy being on the road, but I think that work-life balance is a good thing to have. And if any company will support that, I think that's great too. I think there needs to be a healthy balance, because it's when we were doing those 6 days a week, and the guys that we were traveling with at the time, it was hard road life, right? It's hard not only on the body, but you're away from family and life, and you think you're invincible, and then you're in pain all the time, and so stupidity starts coming into play, and you start messing with things, and it is a slippery slope. I watched it destroy a lot of guys, not only careers, but their lives. And so I try to be smart about things now, and I'm happy when we're in positions where we're able to be smart. So.
No, that makes perfect sense, 100%. I know that you've got a training camp coming up. Let's spend a little bit of time talking about that, and let's get all the information out about it. Where's it at? What's going on with it? What's happening?
So I grew up, and some of my best memories in wrestling are from some of the 3-day camps, like with Les Thatcher, or the week-long ones, the Harley race camps and stuff. And then over the years, I've been a Christian the majority of my life, right? I've not necessarily always lived the best example of such. But over the last several years, my faith side has been growing a lot stronger. And, it hit.
Kids do that.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you. But it's also
it's
like,
funny how kids do that.
and it's not only the kids. So it's like, there's a time in wrestling when you think you're invincible. You think you're to an extent better than other guys in the locker room, and you're not really. You're nothing special. You're just another cog in the wheel, right? But maybe we didn't treat people the best way that we could have, or whatnot. And there was a guy in Canada, a fan, that his name was Jordan Garber, and he would come on the Canadian loops with us up for Canadian Wrestling Elite. He'd come every town just about when we were in the Manitoba area, and he got to a point where we started letting him spend more time with the crew. And I oftentimes he'd want to just talk, and I would oblige for a second, but then I would try to be busy with something, right? And from a faith perspective, that could have been a moment when I could have just talked to him, asked him, hey, what does relationship with God look like? What does your walk of faith look like? Whatever that may look like for you. Just be inquiring, that kind of thing. Just be kind too. And I didn't. And then a couple years ago, he passed away. And so then it hit me that, like, man, out of all the times when I could have been around that guy, had a conversation that might have sparked something or changed life for the better, I didn't. And I start thinking about all the interactions that we have, not only with fans, because we're heels most of the places we go, but just in the locker room of guys we have an impact on or can interact with, and talk about our faith for, Christian walk, and just see where people are at. And I'm trying to do better about that myself, right? And so I wanted to make a camp because I love the camps. I love the camaraderie that they bring. And I decided to utilize my buddy Les Thatcher for weekend camp, and we're setting it up to where it's for just some of the Christian athletes, some of the guys who are walking their faith and walking in this business. And I want them to have a place to not only be able to learn in the ring tremendously, because we're bringing in just some great trainers in addition to Les, but also just to have that camaraderie, have a place where they feel supported and equipped to walk their faith in a stronger way going forward, because this business can be dark and tough sometimes. And I'm just trying to bring a little more light and love to it, and try to help people when we can and be a better example, man. Christians, overall, sometimes we get a negative light. There's a lot of people who are what we call church hurt. They've been pushed out. They've been treated bad in various ways, and that's not cool to me. And so I just want to try to change that stigma a little bit around too, and build people up for the better. And so it's open to Christian athletes, but it's also open to anybody. Everybody's going to be welcome with open arms, as long as they're respectful for what we're delivering, and cool with some fellowship, and then just growing in the ring. So I've got Les Thatcher, I've got George South, who's another amazing
unsung
mind
hero
that I'm blessed to be friends with, and then Brad Thomas, who was, if you guys never watched Brad, I encourage you to go back and do so. He used to travel a lot with Bobby and Ricky, and he's honestly, and I'm not just tooting the horn here, one of my favorite baby faces of all time, just because of how good he was at the moment, and just amazing in the ring. And then Chance Prophet from West Virginia there, who's just a wonderful, creative, crazy human being that I love tremendously. So good group of guys, great trainers, a lot of different thoughts and minds going into this, but we just want to really make people better in and out of the ring. And it's April 26th through 28th. And we're calling it Wrestling for the Kingdom. And you can go to wrestlingforthekingdom.com for more information around that. But I want to get back to when we have like week-long seminar get together group things for guys, because man, there's nothing like it, because you not only get better in the ring, but you also build up these lifelong relationships. It opens up some doors of opportunity for guys to get contacts in places they've never been before, and so I'm just excited for that too.
What's the biggest hurdle setting those up for you?
Say it again. You both were talking at the same time.
You said you want to see getting back to those week-long camps. What's the biggest hurdle for you trying to organize something like that and get it off the ground?
Guys wanting to invest in themselves. People want instant gratification. They also think that they know better. That there's not that shut up and listen mentality anymore. And they
finding talent that wants to show up to the camp.
Yeah. It's a challenge, because it's like, and it's especially challenging for us just because we are coming at it from a Christian faith-based perspective. So that takes that group, that narrow
and
group,
whittles it down even smaller. Yeah.
Right. So it's that narrow group that wants instant gratification now, don't want to invest really in their continuing education. Any other fields, doctors, lawyers, other entertainers, musicians, go to retreats and camps and things to get better and learn, and then wrestlers just think they got it made. So, it's tough, but it's worth it in my opinion, just because I can see the value on the back end from what the ones we are connecting with and what they're already gaining from it, and we're not even at the camp yet. It makes it worth it to me, and so. I just wish we get back to a time where more people were doing, you see seminars pop up a lot, and oftentimes it's like, hey, we've got this seminar, and it's before the show on Saturday from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. How are you going to take a bunch of guys in 2 hours and give them much of anything of value? I'm not saying it can't be done. I just like the moments when you can actually spend a lot of time, like a full weekend in the ring, learning, picking things apart, critiquing, getting good feedback. So, that's what I want to deliver. And so,
I could see the value of the couple-hour clinic, but it's definitely not the same as a weekend camp or a week-long camp. And, maybe that is part of that generational disconnect where we grew up, where that was the way you learned more things from more people. Yeah. You had to find that camp and get into that class and do the month at that training academy or go work this show for a while and get in with those guys. And maybe that isn't the way it works. Maybe there's a different way to figure out organizing something like that would promote more interaction. I don't know.
It's and also, like, just from my perspective, right? This is the first one in this approach that we're doing, so it does take a while to build up that value, that established name value. For Harley with World League Wrestling camps that he did, he ran them for several years, then started connecting with like Noah and New Japan and stuff, and grew that into something pretty big. Les Thatcher used to run the Pro Wrestling Elite training camps with Dr. Tom and Ricky Steamboat, and Harley would get involved from time to time. But they would, it took them a while to establish and get guys invested in seminars and stuff, and I think it could be done again, just from word of mouth after the first one or two, and we build up value that way. So I'm looking forward to that.
Where is it going to be located?
Definitely.
Yeah, so it's in connecting things back to Bobby Eaton. It's in Kingsport, Tennessee, at the Net Pro Studios school that's opened up, and it's the beautiful Bobby Eaton Arena that they've named it after, which is always cool. So I try to tie everything back into Bobby if the opportunity's there, and this just kind of stars aligned for this one. So I'm excited about it.
That's cool. I like that. I'll have all the links, all the stuff will be down below, guys. So just look down in the description. Everything you need will be right there to get you where you need to be. I do want to, pick your brain a little bit more about this, because I dig the concept and I like what you're doing. I think that you're 100% correct that it's not it has a lot of potential, right? Especially word of mouth once it travels, when this first camp comes up, and actually comes to completion. I dig the concept about it being a weekend thing. I have seen, obviously, we follow a lot of wrestling, and I do see a lot of the seminars. And
those are popping up, yeah, especially right now. I've seen probably 4 or 5, 6 in the next month or two.
And they're usually that day or something like that. So I dig
and there are some good ones too. There are some really creative minds to learn from. There are also some that are used as exposure or tryout opportunities for different things, and I think those have a time and place as long as they're done with good intention. It's when guys do seminar just to make money off people and they try to take it for 2 hours and then run with the money or whatever, and I think you need to build more value than that. That's just me.
Do you think that that's caused a stigma in the system that's making it harder for these things to be successful?
I don't know, because when I was breaking into, there were the good camps, and then there were still these seminars where guys would be just taking the money and going. And it's been around. It's not going to change either. There's going to be those situations where people are just trying to make a quick buck, and that is what it is. And it's unfortunate in some cases, but yeah, I don't know.
I think it's going to be successful. I think that there's something there. And when Eric was telling me about it, I was like, oh, we got to talk to him about it. And I don't want to dive in too deep. I don't want to get any spoilers or anything like that. But I think that it's great that Les Thatcher's attached to the project. I think that if that doesn't draw the hardcore purist wrestling fan or wrestling aspiring to be like the hardcore professional wrestler and take it seriously, if Thatcher doesn't bring anybody in, that's insane to me, because I would love to sit in a room with him and just listen and have him walk me through something or critique something that I'm doing. I mean, that's a once in a lifetime opportunity.
My favorite critique, and I've been with Les doing seminars and whatever forever. He's always straight up honest with me, and that's something I appreciate. He's straight up with everybody, and he's got that really old school mentality, and he'll tell you exactly what he thinks, like no matter what. So we come back from a match one time where we wrestled the Carnies, Nick Iggy and Kerry Awful, and we had a good match, right? It was solid, but Les didn't like certain aspects of it, right? And he came up to Nick and Kerry and just, this sucked, you did this, you're terrible at this. Looks at Elliot, gives him just down the road too, in the locker room when everybody's watching, right? And then he comes up to me and goes, and Matt, I'm just disappointed. And he turned around and walked away, and that hurt worse than anything he could have ever had. Me, but
that was the worst thing that my parents could say to me when I was growing up as a child. It's not that I'm not upset. I'm just
he didn't have to say anything after that. I sold it to him, and I was like, oh,
damn.
Oh, my heart hurts for you, homie. That's rough.
And then it got one of the awkward, like, people putting their phone down and looking up, just kind of thing from the locker room, just like everybody's selling it. I'm just sitting there like,
yes, sir.
It's also an opportunity, though, for you to go back and look at something that you had done and be like, okay, what about this? Where did I go wrong? What was it?
The best part about it, right, is this was at Innovate Wrestling years ago, and Les is on commentary for the match too. And he don't care. He will say what he thinks about the match on the commentary for the promotion while it's happening.
Sounds like us when we're doing watch-alongs.
So it was pretty much like a watch-along, and I got live feedback watching it later that night. And he wasn't wrong about much of anything about it. There was some things that needed cleaned up just from a psychological perspective, but sometimes
it's necessary for us to be able to reflect on that kind of criticism and take it with a grain of salt for what it is and not be mad about it. Just recognize that people's opinions are what they are.
Yeah, and Ricky Morton taught me that early in life when it was just shut up and listen, and he would break down matches for me. Tom Pritchard too. Tom, when we were training with Tom, we'd be doing matches, and he'd be tagging against us or whatever, just teaching whatever, and he would yell from the apron. That was one kick that did not mean anything, and he'd just call you out right then and there, and it sticks. It sticks, and you gotta have thick skin, but at the same time, a lot of these guys, even if they're ragging you pretty hard, they are wanting
for the best of intentions.
They're wanting to protect the business. They're wanting you to become a better wrestler. They're wanting you to elevate yourself to another degree to where people click with it better. And I learned that pretty early on. And so I'm always one. I never think we are the best we can be. I think there's always room for improvement. So even today, I will still go out of my way to find whatever vet of mine is in the locker room at the moment, and that's rare, but I will try to find it, and I'll say, hey, if you don't mind, could you just watch this and get some feedback here on things that could be cleaned up? And that's another rare thing too. Guys don't want to ask for people to get feedback anymore
because they don't want to get their feelings hurt.
You know, like
I would rather somebody tear me down and tell me what I could do better than
properly. There's a way to go about it, and there's a way not to, and that's something that you got to get used to dealing with too.
As long as it's well founded, and or at least as long as they can show me why they believe it's well founded, then I will gladly listen and I will take it, and then in certain situations I'll apply it next time. So,
man, this has been wild, and all of this, guys, if you're watching this now, as we're talking about Les Thatcher and getting the Les Thatcher story, you should go and learn from Mr. Thatcher at this camp.
Yeah,
it's coming up in 2 weeks, literally, from now. 2 weeks from today. It
might be one of Les's last 3-day kind of weekend long deals, too. I'm being honest, so... I think it's a
links
good
are all down in description. You can absolutely get in touch with this and get it going for sure.
It's a good opportunity.
Sure. Don't miss the opportunity.
Through one of those kind of weekend-long experiences that you might not have a chance to later.
You had mentioned Chance Prophet. We're going to be talking to him probably after your training camp. So maybe that'd be something that Eric and I can follow up with him. Hey, how was the experience? How did that go?
Get a good report from Chance.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just it's people helping people, man. It'd be a good thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
With 2024, and we'll start tying a bow on things as here in just a few minutes. With 2024 on the horizons. And I know that with being being the family guy and prioritizing that, which is fucking great. Excuse me, that's sorry. I made it the whole show without dropping the F-bomb.
Wrestling, it's okay.
With the family being the priority, what are you looking to accomplish a little bit with 2024 and with the Heat Seekers specifically? I know you mentioned possibly maybe the Crockett Cup, but is there anything on the bucket list that you can maybe talk to us about without spilling too much?
Yeah, we at the end of the day, my main goal is just to provide for family. That's whatever avenue that looks like, whether that be the independent scene, if that is NWA facilitating that, or AEW, I don't care. I'm not here to. If I make it to WWE or WrestleMania or whatever, that don't matter to me. As long as I'm able to enjoy what I'm doing and provide for my family, that's number one. In terms of this year, I love the Crockett Cup stuff. It's tag team historic, so if we get in the mix again with that this year, that's wonderful. There's a lot of great companies out there that we've been stepping into and playing around with, and excited to see kind of what happens with that. I would love to go back over to Japan. That is a target of ours. Hopefully that we can line up this year or next year, just because
the Australian market's getting really big too.
Yeah. Australia is another market that is just blowing up. I've got a lot of friends down there, but I love the Japanese culture and the people and the food, and so we always get treated well over there, and it'd be good to see some of those people that we're friends with over there again. And So that's a target, I guess. That's a bucket list, would be to go back over there. Outside of that, match-wise, something along those lines. Not a lot of dream matches left in terms of what we want with teams out there. I really want at some point for us to do some business with FTR, because I think just from history perspective, that would be a fun one. I'm up for whatever. Honestly, if I can make the wrestling business better in any way, shape, or form, and walk away with better off for my family, then it's whatever that may look like. I'm all for it. So we'll see what 2024 brings. Some highs and lows are coming, I'm sure, as usual. And maybe I can hop back on here with you guys in the fall or something and give a report on how it's going.
Aye, man,
that would be great. We would love to have you back.
John, you got anything? Go ahead. I was going to say, John.
I got so many things.
Well, go ahead.
So many things. So a lot of times when we're talking to guys, we'll find out something from their younger years has really affected their career momentum. I know when we talked with Frankie the Mobster, he was a theater kid. When we talked with Red Shaw, he was a power lifter. You were in communications arts studies at LMU. Yeah. What things during your studies have transitioned into your career that maybe surprised you? Like, what was something that you learned in college during communications that you've maybe unintentionally carried into you being in front of crowds and being on the microphone?
Yeah, I think, number one, it was comfortability, right? Because I got used to having a microphone in hand, talking in front of groups of people and that kind of situation. Sorry, there's a train going by outside this hotel. But outside of that, it's just also a respect for the TV side of things, right? A lot of times guys show up to the shows and, they may be shooting TV to whatever degree that may look like, big or small, and they don't think about just how tough of a job that can be and how complicated that can be. And so just having my eyes and ears in that world for a little while, and then knowing on the back end what these guys go through at shows, dealing with some of the stress that they get put through each day, that has helped me, I believe, big time over the years, just from a respect level for what they do and knowing how to utilize that avenue better. So
you ever find yourself doing your ring work and thinking to yourself, oh, the hard cameras are here, I've got to do a different thing?
A lot of people don't give Buff Bagwell the credit he deserves in wrestling. But if you go back and he knew
where every hard camera was that was pointed at him every night.
If you watch even Saturday night, right? And you watch any of Bagwell's matches from about 1995 on, that man will find whatever camera was hot at the moment without even thinking about it. And he'll do it the whole match, whether he's pinning the guy, getting steam, hit a move, he finds it immediately. And he was able to make the most, to me anyway, this way I've noticed it, right? Out of just what cameras are hot at the moment than just about anybody. And so that's something I picked up over the years too, just finding that hot camera.
Talking about
knowing who to beat you.
Maximize those minutes.
Brother, man, you only have so many in front of the camera. Your face had better be in it. I find it really interesting when something that may or may not even have anything to do with wrestling does influence careers like that. And it's funny to hear all these guys tell these stories about the things that they've learned over the years or the hobbies that they've had and how it's played a part in what they do in the ring. And it's always interesting to connect those bits. What do you think? We talked a little bit about, the future of what you want to do, but what do you think about the future of wrestling? What do you think our best opportunity to extend the longevity of the industry that we love is actually? Like, what do you think we can do to make sure that this is a thing that we can enjoy for more generations to come?
Wrestling has been around for over 100 years. We are probably and a lot of people don't look at it like this, but we're probably in the healthiest market that it's ever been in. WWE signed the $5 billion Netflix deal, and that's just for one show, not including.
Well, the indies are exploding too. Like it's not even funny how many places are open right now.
Indies are exploding, and there's always going to be those roller coasters, right? There'll be a hot time, it'll dip down again, and then it'll swing back up. Just because people always want to be entertained. They want to escape whatever drama and life brings them, right? And wrestling's always a good outlet for that because we're able to reflect a lot of what's going on in pop culture and ingrain it into stories and things. And people are always up to watch a fight, right? They always want to see the little guy take on the giant.
Especially when they're invested.
Yeah, and when you get them emotionally invested, and WWE's done an amazing job of that with building up guys like Reigns and even the Rock storyline and whatever, and Cody and whatnot. But yeah, we are in a healthy market right now, and I think to continue it, we just got to keep doing what's working. And promotions are doing a really good job of connecting with people, young people. They're doing a good job of actually promoting. It's wild when you inform people that an event's going to happen, that people show up, which is
people are actually there. What?
So promoting works. It's a secret. It's that's becoming more well known, and it's fascinating how that can happen. I remember, so many of those 6-day week loops that we did when I first started. There's always going to be good towns, and there's towns that are 10 people or whatever. But then we'd have some weekly towns that would draw 400 weekly. And it's, promoting works when you get out and you actually put feet on the ground and let people know that there's wrestling in town. So as long as that maintains, then we're in good shape.
With your 20 years in the business, if we've got somebody out watching the show, if you're young, you're thinking about getting into the industry, or you're already in the industry, this question is for you guys. With 20 plus years in the business, if you could give anybody that's either in training or thinking about training or just coming out of training, any advice that you could give them as they start their career? Because
don't.
Again, I don't.
Don't.
Smart answer.
No,
Gotcha.
Man.
The advice would be to find a legitimately respectable trainer who knows what they're doing and who has established themselves as somebody that's respected in the business. The advice would also be to look ahead at that work-life balance, figure out what that happy medium is going to be for you, what you're willing to put into it, and know that ahead of time. There's some guys that are happy with one show a month. There's a lot of guys that are happy when they grind and are doing multiple a week. And both scenarios are good as long as at the end of the day you're happy. Because it's a roller coaster of a business. It's going to hurt feelings. It's going to hurt relationships, no matter if you are doing it just a little or you're doing it a lot. So you got to find the way to balance that out and what works for you. A lot of guys focus on the end goal. They focus on a WrestleMania moment, or they focus on, hey, I want a WWE contract and whatever. And then they forget to enjoy the ride along the way. So I always try to tell guys to slow down in life. Enjoy the moment right now that you're in, the friendships you're making, the stories you're having fun with on the road. Because at the end of the day, you make it WWE, great. You make that WrestleMania moment even better. But what you're going to remember at the end of the day and at the end of life is just some of these slower moments and the moments that you've built up with these friends and the travels and the laughs and the drama and the fun and the, whatever. So enjoy that, and then take care of your body, man. We've got one. We've got one body, and you're stuck with it the rest of your life. And I won't tell anybody not to go out there and bust ass and go 100 miles an hour if that's what they find enjoyable in wrestling. But know that if you're going crazy hard like that time could be cut short. You could get in. We can all get injured just walking, right? I could tag Elliot one night and step on the apron, fall off, and die. I don't know. But like,
we watched Vince climb into the ring and pull both his hamstrings. So
it does happen. But like, there's ways to protect yourself a little better. Find that good rhythm. Also understand that every night does not have to be WrestleMania. Look at your situation and where you're at. Look at the crowd you're working for. Figure out what's clicking well for them, and modify as needed. There's a difference in a TV match where you need to really put the effort in hard and maybe take some risks that you might not need to otherwise. And I've had that mentality for a while, just trying to be protected. I'll still go out and do 45-minute hard, sweat matches, where we're putting in a lot of effort. But unless there is a true reason for it, I'm not going to
weigh the value.
Take chances, right? And like even right now, man, I'm dealing with an injury. I think it's in my tricep or rotator cuff. I got full range of motion, no problem. But right now, there's something that's stopping me from having as much power on my presses on my right side. I don't know what that is yet, it's from wrestling. So we get banged up, and so just try to protect yourself as much as possible. And then the last bit, I guess, would be just to be respectful of everybody, and your elders, the people that paved the way, pick their brains. Be respectful of the crew, the rest of the boys and the girls. Try to help when you can, and don't burn bridges, because you burn bridges, man. It takes sometimes that you can't repair them. Sometimes it takes a lot of effort and to grind back. So always try to, and it's not always possible. There's sometimes when you have to stand your ground, and there's going to be relationships hurt, but maybe you are doing the right thing. But for the most part, I think guys should just have a little more patience and be respectful towards each other, and things will work out better in the long run. So, yeah.
John, you got anything else? You got anything else you want to ask before we wrap it up?
Besides, I wish somebody had told me to protect my body 35 years ago. That'd have been great. I don't know where he was, but I could have used some of that advice a long time ago.
That is one of the things that we do have the advantage of. There's a lot more education true now around neck injuries, brain injuries, around even like on a nutrition standpoint, what we're putting into our bodies. Some of the vices that guys used to have with alcohol and pills and whatnot, for the most part, that's sunsetting. Guys are more careful about things. They're training more, not even necessarily from a bodybuilding perspective, which I always think is great. I think, guys that look like wrestlers sometimes, draw more money. But anyway, the guys that aren't necessarily in the best of shape are still training hard to get their cardio up and whatnot, and being more protective of everything. So that's great to see too. Just some of the progress we've made in that avenue.
When on that point, when we were talking to some of the guys from Riot City, they had mentioned, when you and I and Paige came through training, the training classes would start big and only a couple of people would finish the class out. And over in RCW this last year, they had a training class come in and only a couple of the people dropped. So we're seeing more and more of that too, where the people that are coming to these training camps that are trying out for places are actually more informed and better trained going into the camps than they've ever been before. And I think that goes back to where the industry is.
And we gotta be careful, but we do have this situation where there are a lot of people that are being allowed in wrestling that don't necessarily belong in wrestling.
We've been talking about this for weeks.
And that said, I believe that everybody, if you have a dream and you push hard, and if you actually put the effort in and you put the work in and grind on whatever your weakness area is, if you work to make it better, and it might be able to work. But there are a lot of people who do not have that drive and determination, who are still being led in business and still being kept around the business. And it might not be that they can't contribute to the business, but a lot of people need to learn whether that might be, I don't need to be a wrestler, I need to be a manager, or maybe I'd be good for a referee, or you know what, perhaps I could be a stagehand and help
Ride
set
the
up
table, work the camera. There's lots of things in wrestling that aren't being wrestlers.
It takes a village, man, to put stuff together. I know guys that had a dream for wrestling, and now they're working for WWE, but they're doing a road crew setup, tear down, or maybe they're doing TV management for certain interviews or something, whatever it may be. They're still contributing, and it's still a job in wrestling. It may not be what they thought of at the moment, but you can be applied.
That's very similar to my trajectory. When I first started, I was doing security at the door, and then I started doing table work, and then I became the commissioner of the company, and it didn't stop me from training and being a worker, but it did not give me the reps in the ring that other guys that trained with me were doing. It put me on the show for 2-3 hours at a time, though. Yeah. So my camera time was bigger than anybody else on the roster. But it was something I needed to do for the show to work, and it wasn't about me getting over in the ring. It was about me getting the show over with the fans. Yeah. And if that's the niche that I needed to fill, then that was what I was doing that night, and we went off to the races.
If WWE called me tomorrow and said, you know what, we're short on referees, and we really need you to wear the stripes, I'd be like, what town do I need to be at? What time do I need to show up? and you know, it's just funny how our pride takes the best of us sometimes. So. But yeah, and that's another piece of advice. Be open and willing when you're first breaking in to do whatever's asked, not whatever, but do whatever's decently asked of you.
Selectively appropriate.
Yeah.
Selectively appropriate to do whatever's decently. Don't let people run over and abuse you. But like, if you're breaking into business, you're just training. Hey, we need a ring crew guy. We need somebody to go out and get the jackets. We need a ref. We need the music guy. We need camera guy, whatever. I know some guys right now that are grinding. They're training and they're making towns, and they're working some of the matches on the pre-show, whatever, and then they go get dressed and then they run the cameras the rest of the night. And you may not at first find the value in that, right? But then you realize, well, you did the pre-show match, and now you're still out by the ring. You have this opportunity to engage, learn, and watch it and focus and contribute at the same time in a learning experience that, not many get. So find ways to keep plugged in and learn more. It goes far. Yeah.
I used to say,
I love that whole idea.
When I was in the ring, I had 3 things. Did I get a reaction? Did my opponent get a reaction? Did the match get a reaction? If the answer to that question is yes, it doesn't matter where it's at on the card. I could be opening the card, or I could have been working a main event. I could have been in the middle. It doesn't matter. Did those 3 things happen? If the answer is yes, I'm good.
Success.
I beg promoters. Hey, please let me and Elliot go first, and then we can have a great match. I promise.
Love the curtain.
We will put over whoever you want us to put over, and then I can leave unless I'm needed for later or asked to sit and watch something or whatever. But oftentimes we've got these 8-hour or 9-hour drives. I don't like staying in towns unless I absolutely have to. So I'm gonna get back home. But
I was the same way.
Put me. I'm an excellent pre-show main event.
He's like, let me get on just before the lights go fire,
brother. I don't care.
I used to tell them, I didn't mind going on first because my mentality was just follow that, and then come talk to me later. But I get it, getting out and making it happen. Listen, we appreciate it, man. You've given us a lot of time tonight. It's been fun conversation.
This has been fun. I get to just sit and talk about old school wrestling and just how things should be and yell at the cloud just a little bit like an old man, and but it's been fun. Thank you guys.
I could have talked to you another hour and a half about the old school stuff, but we had.
Well, we gotta save something for a part 2, and you want to leave people. I don't know if anybody's still watching by this point. We've talked for so long, but if you want to leave people wanting just a little bit more, and so we'll save some of that. And maybe next time we'll even bury somebody a little bit.
No, we won't bury anybody unless it's Eric Steele, because he.
We could do a whole series of stories with Sigmon. I don't mind.
Yeah. It'll be great.
That's fine by me too. I've got. We didn't even dive into some like the best ribs that I've been a part of, or whatever. Next time, gentlemen.
Yes,
definitely.
Yes, absolutely. Listen, you got anything you want to say to the people, Mr. Sigmon, before we tie a bow on it?
Man, you know what? Appreciate anybody that goes and checks out the camp stuff we're doing, Wrestling for the Kingdom. If you don't want to attend, or if you're not in wrestling, go check out the page, share it. That helps. Outside of that, come out to the events, support your local shows. These guys are all grinding really hard and trying to make something out of themselves. And oftentimes you'll see a lot better wrestling at your local events than you will on TV. So go out and do that. And I challenge everybody just to go out and treat people better. Try to, in wrestling, out of wrestling, just when you're going about your day, just try to do something nice for somebody as you're going about your day.
A little bit of positivity goes a long way. It sure does. Guys and gals, this has been fun. Independent wrestling is thriving. Professional wrestling, we say it all the time, it has a way of bringing people together in some form or fashion. It's a beautiful thing. This is going to be a great show. It's a great conversation. Number 2 is going to be phenomenal. John, go ahead and take us home, buddy. Let's get out of here.
Guys and gals, as always, we love having you here with us, enjoying our passion for wrestling as we enjoy yours. If you have not done so already, go down below, follow all the links for the merch and the camp and all of the socials, so that you can follow Sigmon everywhere that he's going and follow his career as he goes forward. I know that we will be reposting everything we see that we can, letting you guys know exactly where he's going to be at, so you can follow around. And maybe get some classic moments of your own to share with us on our Discord behind the curtain. Don't forget to drop those savage elbows right there on that ding bell so you never miss a beat of what we got going on. We've got new shows all the time. Guys and gals, as always, we love each and every one of your faces. We'll see you again next time.